service they deserve. We all like working for the public. That's why we're public employees.
In fact, there was something, I think you put together a newspaper ad that had some of the contract employees, and there's still somewhat over 500, maybe 567 of them. And when you assemble the top 10 list, most of them were making pretty good money.
Absolutely. There was some $180,000. We have been pointing these out time and time again. It's disgraceful to send workers home when you hire $100,000 people. Our members feel it. They'll tell you that anywhere you go. I get calls constantly. You look at the postings. People are laid off and they post 7 jobs. It's disgraceful, and it continues. It needs to stop. We're staying on them. But we need the public to listen to it, too, that we didn't put this thing together. The Kacheri administration has put this all together. The bumping, as Dennis said, federal monies. It's going to come down to the university where someone's going to get bumped who is not even paid by tax dollars. They're actually paid by the tuition of the students that go there. So the savings, we're having a hard time, and we asked different leaders of the Kacheri administration to tell us at this point in time, over the past 2 weeks, how much money have you saved for the taxpayers of Rhode Island? They can't answer that. And we certainly can't answer it because all we've seen is workers running around trying to find jobs. Now Monday they're going to have a scenario where the person who selected my job is going to work next to me. That's starting Monday. These people that have bumped are now being told you're granted your new job, go there Monday and you'll end up working next to the person that you bumped. Now that's not very considerate for workers to have them. How would you like to wake up in the morning and have someone who's taken your job sitting next to you on Monday morning for the next 2 weeks? It's going to be very uncomfortable, and it's not the way to treat employees.
I think it's a very good, accurate transition to talk about these layoffs and make the situation a little bit more real for the viewing public. Too often you hear about layoffs as a gross aggregate number that 83 people are going to be laid off, or in the case of the governor's plan, 400 and odd are going to be laid off. Or you end up talking about his original number, which is 1,000 people were going to be laid off. It's very easy to, when you look at that in the paper, just to think that they're all just antiseptic numbers with no stories behind them. So what we'd like to do is talk a little bit now to some actual members who received some very hard news right during the middle of this holiday season. The first person I'd like to introduce to talk a little bit about her story is Molly Soom. Molly, could you explain a little bit to the group about your background and also what you do for the Department of Human Services?
Sure, Jim, and thank you. When I first started 10 years ago as a consulting worker with the Department of Human Services, was building the bridges between the Southeast Asian community and the department, because there was the data show that there's lack of outreaching effort to the Southeast Asian community because we are too humble, we are too quiet. So how can the department help the Southeast Asian community by, providing services to them? So many workers in the department fight very hard to get a Southeast Asian staff there. So when they got me there, I was building the bridges between the Southeast Asian community, which is Hmong, Cambodian, Laotians, and Vietnamese. There's approximately about 30,000 of us in Rhode Island. It is plenty. And the Southeast Asian, a lot of people wonder, why are we here? How did we get here? Well, the Southeast Asian people came here not by choice, but we were brought here to America. And we were told that we are in America. This is after the American and Vietnam War. So we have to survive, we have to live here. And getting public assistance was our temporary assistance until we get on our feet and work hard in the factory, earning $5, $6 an hour, trying to support family and feed our children and send our kids to school and try to fit in America. So that was a hard process because my community is not aware of the government system here. So we have to learn everything, and I have to explain to them, from step A to Z, because we have different systems. We're afraid of the authority, and we don't take things for granted, and we appreciate that we were brought here. And it's hard to explain to our older generation because they don't want to speak up. They don't want to tell people what they need because they said that, well, if the government want to give me, they give me. I don't have to ask. So they don't believe in freedom of speech, of the changes. So I have to educate them that, there's a social workers that is helping your family. They're not here to threaten you because they're afraid to talk to a social worker. Every time they have to go see a social worker, they have to pray because that person is the one who can give them the money to feed their family. And we have some workers that really are threatened to the family because they say that, I can make decisions. I can, make your case eligible or not eligible. So our clients feel intimidated walking to DHS every time they have an appointment, every time they seek social services.
Well, I think
So-
one thing that's very important too is you also have a tremendous background as an activist and a leader in the community. Can you talk a little bit how that's been helpful to you in building bridges to the community?
When I started going to volunteer in different places like Social Security Administration back in 96, when the federal law required people to to be citizen in order for them to get the federal benefit for seniors. And it was hard for me to work there and seeing our elders seeking benefit, but they got denied because they were not citizen. So I came back to the community. I said, what can I do to help my community, to help these seniors to get their citizenship? So I end up teaching a class to seniors, to the elders who were unable to work, preparing for citizenship exam. And it's hard, they can't even read their own languages, and they have to read English about 105 questions. So I have to prepare them and go through this every day. And we have a case that one of the students that came here, came to the class many years, and she still have problems with memorizing it and understanding the citizenship exam. So it was hard to make people become citizen, and I was able to do that for them and make them become citizen and make sure they register to vote. And we bring them to the poll every time there's an election because they have transportations problems, and some people are afraid and they don't know who they vote for. So our community leaders come together and advocate them to vote for the right people.
Yeah, and to be really clear,
And-
that the resettlement of all of the Southeast Asian community, a lot of it was a direct result. It was one of the largest resettlements actually conducted by the United States government in history. So many of them,
Right.
I mean, because you always hear the question, is someone here legally or not? I mean, the vast majority are here legally.
It's going on in the community now that people calling us immigrants. We're not just regular immigrants. We were brought here because the war destroyed our family, destroyed our country, and we were brought here. We're not, we didn't climb the wall. We didn't come here to be rich. We came here for safety, and we were brought here. And many of us, had half of our family were killed in the Vietnam War. So it's the same thing like with my family. Half of my family were killed in the war, and half still in Cambodia, and I'm struggling here, trying to help the community heal, rebuild the community, and get on their feet and go to work and try to fit in the community. And that's why, the Southeast Asian people are out there working in a factory, because we are hardworking people, and we appreciate that we are here. And we earning, a lot of people are still earning under minimum wage, okay? Because we try to feed our kids, and the housing cost is very high. And it's scaring people away from Rhode Island. And I'm so scared that now that I can predict that 5 years from now, not a lot of poor people can afford living in Rhode Island. Because look at what happened to me. Try to work so hard for the community, try to build the community, and I can't even build my own family. Can't even hold on my job,
Can you talk a little bit about your? I know that you're